Hey everyone, Tactics here, and in this video I'll be going through my advanced encrypted route for Halls of Atonement in Shadowlands Season 3. Just like my previous videos in this series, I'll be going through the MDT route. I'll link that below for you guys as well if you want it. Then I'll walk you guys through a VOD, kind of explaining pull to pull, why we do pulls in a certain order, where we're popping offensive, defensive CDs, and how we handle some of the more difficult pulls and grouping of said pulls. With that said, if you enjoyed this video though, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing this for the rest of the Season 3 dungeons, and of course I'll be doing it for Season 4 and beyond into Dragonflight as well. So turn on notifications to not miss a single video. And let's get started here. So right off the bat here, we're doing a pull to the left. This 2-pack here that comes in when you just start the dungeon and start moving forward, with the shard on the left here, with the groundskeepers all together. We're lusting. This guy is just getting CC'd. A lot of CCs work on this guy. He is a humanoid, so you know, rogues, they just need to be a little careful because these gargants do have true sight, so don't get too close. We have freezing trap, para, like any of those big CCs will work on them. Even roots works on them as well, preferably mass entanglement, so you can do it as you run by. Do this pull with bloodlust. We then run across here and do this pull here as a kind of recovery pull. Before the next shard pull where we have all our CDs back again. Then we go all the way across to here, another recovery pull. Similarly, we can CC this Pat when he's on one of the sides and get through cleanly. We then do the last shard pull. We have a recovery pull. And then we have the big boss pull here. And note that this is all staggered pulling. So initially we're only pulling these guys in with the boss. And then we slowly add these other mobs in here. Adding these guys last because this is our woe relic and this is how we're going to get to the boss. I'll also show you a little tech here where you can grab this guy guaranteed with the woe relic as well. And we do boss with the guaranteed stoneborn. This is where you're lusting the second time. Moving through here, we do this in one pull. And then we go and we bring this relic here because they stay behind. If you just tag this mob, drag it onto the boss, you get 2 relics on this boss. We clear this boss room. You'll see we'll clear it front half, then back half to make it a little bit more safe. And then we lust last boss again. All right, again, this is linked down below if you guys want that, but let's now take a look at the VOD. It is on 1.25 speed. Let's make that normal speed. So you see here, we're just running through. A note off the start is if you guys don't move, these guys won't run towards you, so it gives you a little bit more space before they start running at you, so you can pick them up a little bit later in their pat. Freezing trap went out over there. Oops, skipped to the end. Nice. Freezing trap went out. We're running this way. And this is a relatively dangerous pull as well. So just be very, very careful. We're dragging all this stuff together. And a big thing to note here in terms of our kicks, right? So there are 2 obliterators in this pack. We only have 1 curse to spell in our group. So that means we always assign 1 kick to one of the curses and the other gets dispelled. So that's just something important to note, depending on the number of curse spells you have in your group. If you have 2 curse spells, you can always let the curses go through, and that means you can invest more kicks into Wicked Bolts, help your tank out a bit. But if you only have 1 curse spell, you have to kick one of those curses when you're pulling 2 obliterators at the same time. And this is just pretty much what we stack them up. These guys got CC'd a little bit far out there. And the big thing here is frontals, right? We want to be very, very careful with frontals as well because they come into this pack. The Dark Blades are at a bit of a different angle because they come this far away, so they frontal through the pack this way. This is one of the more dangerous pulls in the dungeon as well because you have those 2 extra Dark Blades coming from pretty far away, and then you have the Thrashing Shard. You can also use the spot back here to LOS, which you'll probably see us do in a second here. Probably the next Thrash. But that is also a good thing to note if you're squishy or if you don't want to commit a major defensive. You don't have a major defensive maybe for one of the Thrashes. You can just run around this way. I think you're going to see us do it on the next Thrash most likely. Yeah, here's the next Thrash. Have some people LOSing over here. Helps to mitigate that damage. Once this guy actually dies, you're going to see we're going to run back this way. So we re-trapped this at some point. These guys are going to get soothed. And you can run right between again. Careful, these Gargants have true sight. Don't say turn at this. We don't want to pick up this gargoyle yet. We instead do all this grouping. We can have kicks on this obliterator to kick them in. Bring them all together. And this is our kind of like regroup pull. Eventually he'll get kicked in. Oh, he gets knocked in. There it is. And then basically this is what we're doing as we're waiting for everyone to get CDs back for the next pull, which is going to be a shard again. So this pull is relatively straightforward. You know, watch your bleed stacks. When you start getting high, make sure you use different tools, right? We have sweeps we just used, you saw. I believe we'll probably use a binding in a second here. And just watch those Hound Masters, because that rapid fire can be a little spooky as well. So make sure you're not in the cone, and potentially even using stops on it, and for sure stops on those Loyal Beast as well. And once this pull starts dying, you're going to see me pick up this bird here on the back that we had left. We'll pick up this bird going into this shard pull, and should make it much easier. Plus we have all the same CDs that we did for that first pull. For this, I believe we go Relic. I can see an argument for going Woe Relic in this pack, just because you're going to do a really, really big run after. My only problem is it adds an additional kick, right? Because again, there's already 2 obliterators in this, and because we have 1 curse spell, we're already committing 1 kick guaranteed to the curse. And so from there, it's kind of, it gets a little bit spooky if you take another kick off Wicked Bolts. I can see the argument though. I could totally see it as a bit of a time save, because you go super fast, right? You would save a good amount of time. It would help with the thrashes. We might try experimenting with that, but you see there, like procced during that thrash, and it just basically fully healed us during that thrash. We didn't need to commit anything. It was really, really good. So that just depends on if you're able to commit that kick. It would probably be much easier if you had 2 curse spells to commit to getting Woe there on your tank, especially on a high fortified. On a tyrannical key, you could probably pretty safely get Woe there, I think. But yeah, there's an argument for either, I think. And now we're doing the big run. Basically, we're running all the way down here. We're going to remind to these guys. And we're going to see, I'm going to, believe, CC this guy like when he's over here. Because right now, he's kind of blocking the path we want to take. And so we're waiting a bit. Oh, we get a CC there. Mind Soothe. Again, watch the Gargan. Mind Soothe. And then we go around here. And we jump over these stairs. Watch pets, of course. Can be a little spooky. And then we do our second kind of regroup pull while we're waiting for CDs to come back for the final shard pull. Again, pretty small pull, nothing too crazy here. Just a recovery pull. And then we're going to save that Stoneborn. And I can show you the CC as well as we're finishing this pull. Writing. Oh, I think we actually missed the CC here. Yeah, so we missed the CC here. So I started casting it, but it was a bit late. So I let it go to the far side of the pack, or the pat rather, and then we'll just sneak in the left here because we are pulling these little guys anyways. So it's not a big deal. We just get the Stoneborn. We sneak in this side. The main thing we just want to avoid here is pulling this Houndmaster in the corner. Pulling Houndmasters, especially on 4 weeks, is not good. They are very strong. They hurt a lot. They have a lot of HP. You want to avoid them as much as possible, and that's why this route is kind of avoiding a bunch of Houndmasters, as you can see, right? That's like the 3rd Houndmaster we've avoided. So avoiding them as much as possible, especially again on fortified weeks, is very, very good. Very good. We go here again. Definitely recommend in this one because again, you can have it fully heal up a Thrash, and I believe we have it for the next Thrash. I want to say we pop this heal. Yeah. Yeah, so we time that heal. It's going out. We have this Thrash, but we're super safe here with the procking. And we're able to kind of get this pack down again. Basically, this whole dungeon is really dangerous up front with all these shard packs. And the route here is based on trying to get all your CDs back for every single shard pull, right? That's why you go shard pull, recovery pull, shard pull, recovery pull, shard pull. And then we have a recovery pull, and then we have a big pull onto the boss. And that's kind of the reason behind this routing. You have there, the Houndmaster is CC'd over there now, and we'll just walk around the same way we came in. Do our last recovery pull with all these groundskeepers and these 2 packs, and this gives us access to the bird up there, which I'll show you afterwards. Pretty straightforward pull here, nothing too crazy, so I'll just fast forward. This Stoneborn up here can just be tagged with a 40-yard spell. So we tag it, We tag this Stoneborn right here as well. So we go into this boss, no Bloodlust, double Stoneborn. We would never commit lust to this boss. Much rather have that on the second boss. So we have the double Stoneborn here. We get this. Again, everyone has CDs up. It's just like the same thing as the shard pulls. Right? We had a recovery pull right before this boss. Now we have all CDs available. We have a range kick on that guy. And the main thing here is stay away from this tank initially, right? This tank is going to get smashed insta. So you see how melee is backed up away from me, backed up away from me. It is very, very spooky. And then this stuff is basically just AoE down. As a tank, you can move a little bit back, as you saw here, and that puts most of the trash kind of on the boss's back, as opposed to the boss's front, where melee can actually hit it. And you see here, I'll move through every time to put melee in a position where they can hit most of the pack. Obviously, these Gargans are still going to be living here, because they have like the most health out of anything in this pack. But the main thing here is just watching those smashes, because even on a fort key, like those smashes are one shots to anyone who's not a tank. Really just focused on space. We have this Pat behind us here that we do not want to hit. Again, another Houndmaster we want to avoid at all costs. This stuff's going down. I pull just a way to give people enough room to kind of go in a circle here. While not aggroing this guy. And you're going to see we're going to CC this guy at the end of the Pat over here, because we want to end up pulling all 3 other packs over here during this boss fight. Now it is a fortified key. And so we end up killing the boss before we end up adding all those pulls, which is something that can happen. Though on a tyrannical key, I'm sure you will see all those packs end up getting added in. See, it's going to be at the end of the Pat right here. CC is going to go out in a second. There's the trap. And we move now, starting moving towards the small guys or the next one. I am waiting for my Incarn to come back before I add these guys. So that's the key point here is I'm not 100% confident I'm going to be fine without Incarn up. And that's why I wait the time until Incarn is close to being up, where I can be covered and tank those guys relatively safely. But like I mentioned, that's how on a tyrannical key, the boss would be at a bit higher health here, right? And so you'd pretty safely add all these guys in. We just add the Stoneborn in here, as we're prepping to add all this other trash. You see here 8 seconds. So I just go and tag. We re-CC that mob. Incarn's coming back. We add these guys. And the order you want to add these guys is definitely want to add the relic pack last, because again, that's your woe skip. You want to make sure that woe dies near the end of everything. So you're going to see here, we end up pulling these guys away a little bit. And at this point, the boss is so low that I don't really bother adding more guys to it. Otherwise, we would have kited this way. Instead, we just commit to killing the boss, and I'll drag these guys into the next pack over here, the Obliterator pack. And we'll get these guys down relatively low, and then we'll add these relics at the end there. Again, this is a double Obliterator pack, so make sure you're getting your curse kick if you only have one curse to spell. And then we do our woe skip, right? Just adding these guys. There it is. Make sure we're hitting woe. We get our woe drifter. As we kill the other obliterators, now there's only one obliterator and a woe. Much easier to get our kicks. And then I can talk about the bird a little bit. So I believe on this one, we didn't get the bird. I wonder if I remember correctly. I'll watch that Pat coming in at the end there. Just be careful for it. I believe we sent another CC at it. Yeah. Just be careful because it will come at you if you forget about it. So you can see here, we have the one person going over there. I believe he gets crit or something. Yeah, I don't quite see what happened, but basically, I'll rewind a little bit. What you want to do when you're coming in here is you want to position yourself behind him and to the far side a bit, because you're afraid of aggroing this pack and you're afraid of this Pat. If you're able to do that and get him before he, kills you, which you should be able to do if you max range activate him on the far side there, you'll be able to get him. And then you wait for him to stealth, which happens relatively quickly, and then you can just run to boss. So here I believe he got meleeed, and then he the dude turned and aggroed these two guys, and that ended up killing him. So just be careful. It's pretty consistent though. You just need to make sure you're being very, very careful, because yeah, those mobs ran in there. So yeah, I think you have to be like over there-ish, but then you have to watch these guys as well. It's just it's a little spooky. It's very tight. So we're just mass resing and we're going into boss here. And this is where you commit Bloodlust. Fort, Tyrannical, doesn't matter. We commit Bloodlust on this boss. And again, because we only have one Curse Dispel, we are always Curse Dispelling the person targeted by the circle. Always, always, always. Something to note here as well is these imps really, really hurt. So you really want to do your best to not hit them too much before they come in. And then once they actually start casting, kind of get kicks out insta, group them together as best you can, get AoE CCs, all that stuff. And note that that circle, again, is bigger than it looks, right? This guy, we're out of that circle, but that circle did still hit them, and it'll do the same to your teammates. So be very, very careful. We're out here now towards the edge of the room trying to bait these blood torrents as best we can. We had that first one in the middle, unfortunate. But yeah, you can bait these puddles, right? There we go, good bait. And that gives us more room in the center to work with. And that's kind of the deal in this boss fight. Just get as many stops and kicks and to group these stone fiends up. They do detonate when they die, so be careful if you're killing a lot of them at the same time. You need to pop a defensive. Maybe try and have CDs to nuke them ASAP, because if they just keep getting casts off on your tank, it's going to be a bad time for sure. Right? Things like a ring to group them up. Things like, well, Brawn. Okay, Brawn's trolling a little bit, but you know, that's what Brawn does. Right? Just get them as grouped as possible and don't let them all cast at the same time at your tank, pretty much is the play there on those guys. Not much else on this boss to really talk about. It's kind of just rinse and repeat from there. Just again, make sure you have at least one Curse Spell so you can Curse Spell the person with a circle. Otherwise, it's a good chance they die, because that circle does a lot of damage. It's a lot of damage, and they need to avoid it as best they can. Let's move forward here to the next. Oh, we already did the pull. Back up, back up, back up, back up. Okay, so how we deal with this pull. We have the lock gate to the right, and we have a double CC on these Gargants. These are the ones that I'm going to be in combat with. I'm the tank I'm stealthing through. Fit Invispot through, if you're not a Guardian Druid, obviously. So CC'd, CC'd, so they're not going to come after me. And this guy doesn't have True Sight, so he's not going to come after me. I come here, I tag one of these mobs. It does not pull the relics if you tag that mob. Note. And I come out here in bear form, aggro everything, take the lock gate, LOS outside. They're all already out here, dodging those circles, pop CDs, and everything groups up pretty nicely here. Again, watch that Houndmaster and watch these frontals as well. Make sure your melee are aware. There are Dark Blades in this pack. You do not want to get hit in the face with a Dark Blade frontal. But he groups up pretty nicely here, and we just kind of big AoE cleave it down. And it looks, it looks a lot easier in this video than it actually is, because it can go very, very wrong very quickly. Just make sure everyone's LOSing. Everyone stays LOS until the pack is grouped. You get all your stops on the Houndmaster, right? The rapid fire right away, the frontals right away. Those are three things, or two things rather, that can get you killed ASAP. So be careful. And there's like 2 Houndmasters and 2 of the frontal guys. So technically 4 casts that can get you right away. Want to make sure you avoid those. And, stagger those CCs. Keep your tank alive. And then we just go through here. And we're going to pick the Vi relic going into this boss, because again, we roll this into the boss. Stoneborns do a lot of work on this boss fight, so Vi relic definitely a good call. We're gonna just focus it down, get the Vi relic down a little bit before dragging into the boss with the double gargoyle on this boss. A little bit there, move forward, pulling the Vi, getting the double gargoyle. Really be careful of these breaths, by the way, on any high key. These breaths do a ton of damage. We get the double, Vi dies there, we go right into boss, and we get on the boss itself. Note this boss is a little different now after 9.2.5. The 8-yard pulse on the ad that spawns does deal non-zero damage now. So just make sure your entire party is not eating that 8-yard thing. You can see now I'm tanking between two of the canisters instead of directly on one. And that means that one of the melee, if they get it, they can go to one of the canisters, and me and the other melee can move towards the other and not be hit by the additional damage of being within 8 yards of the spirit. That's why range is playing over here kind of deal. It's not like it's going to kill you kind of damage, but it's it's more than usual, right? You can see he actually is losing health from this mob. But yeah, that's this boss fight. Just get your volley kicks. The tank kick doesn't even matter. Literally just kick volley of power. And we move in here to the mini boss room. And how we handle this is we have everyone just run straight through. And we focus specifically on the ads near the front of the room where the mini boss is. So this set here and this set here. We make sure these sets die ASAP right after he does his first little Dark Communion thing. And then you'll see us right after his second Dark Communion thing move to the back of the room and do the same thing where we kill the left and right of the back of the room. A big thing here is these manifestations do kind of truck. This first set, as you can see, has a real aggro table. And so they're all going on me, which is fine. The problem will be the next set. The next set gets a little spooky. And that's where we end up grouping them up, like right here. And we'll like pop CCs, pop binding. Binding is insanely good in this room. As you see here, so here it comes. Dark Communion's coming out. All these manifestations spawn. They come right here. We drop a binding on them. We proc the binding. And, you know, we're good. We're safe for now. Gives us some AoE potential. And then we, you know, start chaining stuns onto these guys. We finish off these last two spirits first, and then we move on to the actual mini boss itself. Nox as well. Because like having two of these guys fixate you and you're not the tank is a bit rough. It's a little bit spooky. But yeah, from here, all this stuff is dead. We're just killing the mini boss himself. Not really much to talk about. We put kicks on him because why not? What else are you going to do with kicks? Even though you don't, you know, it's not really the end of the world. And that brings us to just the last boss here. And come in the last boss room. We have Lust. I believe we hold it for like 10-20 seconds to make sure we have everything covered by the Bloodlust. Again, we relic, all that good stuff. And the big thing here as a tank is this dot, right? This is the thing that's going to probably kill you as a tank. Remember, you always want to backload your defensive CDs so that it's covering the end ticks, because the ticks ramp up over the duration of the dot. So the later ticks are always more dangerous. So you always want to make sure you have a CD covering the end of the ticks. You can take the beginning couple, 2-3 ticks without anything. It's the later ticks where you're going to start getting into trouble if you don't have anything covering them. So yeah, committed Bloodlust there, as you saw, just dodging statues. There's also the double soak I can show you guys if you haven't seen that already for these statues, where you can soak, each person can soak 2 statues each. So you're coming in, statues are going. All right, you stand right in between the statues, just inside the boss's hitbox, and you can soak 2 each. Yeah, you may need to slightly move, shift slightly. You can see there. One went out to the hunter, now it's getting covered by both. And then the storming is a bit of a problem. So make sure on a storming week, for example, someone not soaking is in charge of, hey, I'm going to go eat all the stormings as they spawn. Just keep a note on that specifically for storming week. Otherwise, yeah, you may need to step left or right slightly if you're not quite getting both beams. And you'll need to react fairly quickly to that. But that is pretty much this boss and this dungeon. So hopefully you guys did learn something in this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Again, I'll be doing this for the rest of the dungeons. I believe I only have a few more left for Season 3, but keep an eye out for Season 4, where I'll be doing all the new dungeons, and also Season 1 of Dragonflight. Hopefully I'll be doing some stuff on the alpha/beta as well, so keep an eye out for that. Also, you can check me out on my Twitch channel, or if you have any questions, you know, leave a comment down below, and I'll do my best to answer. Otherwise, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.